Well, good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the faculty, staff, administration, board of trustees, and most importantly, on behalf of the awesome students at Crowder College, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Missouri Alternative and Renewable Energy Technology Center for this special dedication and naming ceremony. 2017-18 is a special year of celebration of a number of alternative energy milestones at Crowder College. A year we are calling Celebrate Merit. I think the importance of these milestones will become apparent to you as we make our way through today's program. Before I turn to our program, please allow me a minute to recognize just a few of our honored guests. I am pleased to welcome Senator Roy Blunt to Crowder College this morning. Senator, I know your time away from Washington is precious and short, and I thank you for spending some of that time with us here today. We are honored to have you on campus. Senator, we will talk today mostly about your support of Crowder College and the MARET Center, but I would be remiss if I did not publicly thank you for your support and leadership in the restoration of year-round Pell Grant funding. You carried the torch on this issue, and in doing so, you had a positive impact on reducing time it takes students to complete certificates and degrees, on reducing student debt, and you invested in the development of our workforce and our citizenry. On behalf of my Missouri colleagues in higher education and Crowder College students, thank you for taking our calls, reading our emails, listening to our arguments, understanding our arguments, and for providing opportunities for our students. We have a number of additional elected officials with us today who support our state and our college with great passion. I want to take a moment just to recognize them. If you'll please just hold your applause until I have introduced them all. From Congressman Billy Long's office, we have Jake Heaston. Jake's a great supporter and almost always at Crowder events. Our President Pro Tem of the Senate of Missouri, Ron Richard. Representative Mike Kelly. Representative Bill Lant. Representative Bill Ripeholt. Representative Bill White. We have a lot of bills. Representative Charlie Davis. And I believe Representative Cody Smith. Did he make it? And from not our area, but we are pleased to also welcome Representative Elijah Haar to our ceremony today. Thank you all for your presence and for being here with us to celebrate today. Please help me thank these public servants. Also allow me to introduce members of the Crowder College Board of Trustees who are here with us today. Our board chairman, Andy Wood, is here, along with his wife, Kim. Diane Andrus and her husband, Jack. And Dr. Al Chapman is with us today. They serve this college well, are wise trustees, and I am grateful to work for and with them every day. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize just a few people who are likely taking as much pride or more in the milestones we are celebrating this year. And the senator has actually already asked me about one of these folks. Dr. Kent Farnsworth was president of Crowder College in those days when the college began building solar bikes and cars and competing in the solar decathlon alongside any university who wanted to take this little college on. To this day, he is vested in alternative energy instruction at Crowder College and devotes much time to helping us keep that mission alive. My colleague, Dr. Alan Marble, carried on the tradition during his term as president, continuing our involvement in solar decathlons and taking on the task of planning, securing funding for, and constructing the building we celebrate here today. By the way, he's a Crowder alum. He also serves now as the president of Missouri Southern State University, where, among other great things, he is leading us all in building strong partnership programs and student opportunities between these two institutions, Crowder and MSSU. Dr. Farnsworth could not be here today. Dr. Marble is here with us. Please help me thank these pioneering presidents of Crowder College. Steve McIntosh was serving as Senator Blunt's field representative when I came to Crowder College, and he was one of the first people I met. Steve, thank you for your leadership and assistance in the development of the Merit Center and for your consummate support of Crowder. And I also want to thank Joelle Cannon, Senator Blunt's current field representative, who has planned and coordinated today's event with us. We've had a lot of emails and a lot of calls. Joelle, it was a pleasure to get to know you and work with you. Finally, I would like to recognize our Merit Center faculty and staff. Dr. Melissa Oates, I believe they're behind me now. Yay! Okay. Dr. Melissa Oates, the director. Joe Lampson, Sustainable Energy Instructor and Crowder alum. Chris Catron, Alternative Energy Wind Instructor and Crowder alum. And I saw former faculty member Art Boyd, I'm pretty sure, somewhere. Art, are you here? Right back there. Very good. Very good. And along with these folks, among them are a few of our Crowder College Merit Center students who, if you will forgive me, Senator, are the most honored guests among us today. Many of our Merit students are out on internships and jobs. It is Friday. But it is for the students present and those out working that we built the Merit Center. So what exactly are we here to celebrate, and why did I say this kicks off a full year of celebrations? Well, friends, 25 years ago, in 1992, Crowder became the Missouri Alternative and Renewable Energy Technology Center for our state. 5 years ago, Crowder opened the remarkable instructional facility you see behind me, a building powered by alternative energy, a showplace of technology, a laboratory classroom for students and entrepreneurs pursuing careers in alternative energy. But did you know, and Art Boyd will know, did you know that alternative energy instruction at Crowder College began much before that? In 2018, we will celebrate 40 years of alternative energy instruction here at the college. 40 years. That sounds a little pioneering to me. So I hope you'll forgive us that with that many milestones, we might take a year to celebrate. One part of the plans for our year, as you can see to my right, your left, is to complete a bit of restoration work on the 2002 and 2005 solar decathlon houses. Our high school level construction students and their instructor, Andy McLean, are taking a break from building little tiny houses. Sorry, I know many of you just really like to come out for that auction. But they're taking a break from that this year and are spending their year refurbishing these two historic Crowder structures, bringing them back to show and instructional quality. This enhancement of the Crowder College Solar Village is being made possible by one of our very generous donors, Mrs. Carol Signetti Gaskell. And if you will, take a look on the back side of your program. There you will find details about additional events. I ask you particularly to note October 23rd, our Celebrate Merit Appreciation Night, when we will recognize and honor a number of folks important in the history of alternative energy at Crowder. I hope you will join us. But today, we want to turn our attention to a public servant who shared invaluable guidance, enthusiasm, and leadership during the planning, funding, and construction of the Merit Center. As you will hear from our next speaker, without Senator Roy Blunt's assistance, the Merit Center would not be, or at least it would not be what it is in its present form. We are here today to thank Senator Roy Blunt for this assistance, so let's turn to doing so. I ask you to join me in welcoming Crowder College Board of Trustee Chairman, Mr. Andy Wood.
We went through this last night. Dr. Methvin and I don't speak well one after the other. Thank you, Dr. Methvin. It is my honor and privilege to represent the Crowder College Board of Trustees at this ceremony celebrating the 5th anniversary of the opening of the Merit Center and the renaming of the center to honor Senator Roy Blunt's many contributions to its creation. While many folks played a significant role in creating the Merit Center, and Dr. Methven mentioned some of them, some Art Boyd, Dr. Kent Farnsworth, Dr. Alan Marble, Mr. Rudolph Farber, Senator Ron Richard, to name just a few, simply stated, our Merit Center would not exist today without the efforts of Senator Roy Blunt. And this was not a one-time, one-shot contribution from Senator Blunt. Senator Blunt's support of alternative energy, and specifically alternative energy projects at Crowder College, go back 2 decades. And I just want to review the broad contributions that Senator Blunt has made to Crowder College. We can go back and look, starting Representative Blunt, support of Crowder College's 2002 solar decathlon house, being present on campus in October of 2003 at the official dedication ceremony at the house. And actually, Senator Blunt, Representative Blunt, and Senator Blunt have been on campus many times. He's as our friend. Senator Blunt first got the funding approved for the Merit Center in 2005, $2 million in funding. Once again, Senator Blunt came to our campus for the announcement of this funding. A year later, additional funding, $1 million. Senator Blunt played a huge role in receiving Department of Energy funding in 2008. And I think what's most important is Senator Blunt's consistent support of Crowder College and all the alternative energy projects at Crowder College was vital in allowing Crowder to obtain the other necessary donations to build the Merit Center. And I think it's also something to point out, and Dr. Methven and I were talking about it yesterday, Dr. Marble very much remembers it, even though this money was appropriated and we began the construction of the Merit Center and we're well into the construction of the Merit Center, we couldn't get the money released to pay for the Merit Center. Hard to believe that there's government red tape. I don't understand it, but I guess sometimes it happens. It went away with a call to Senator Blunt's office. Money was released, and we have our Merit Center here today. I will also point out, and I think I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, when you look at Senator Blunt's commitment to alternative energy and higher education, all you have to do is look 75 miles east of here at the Roy Blunt Jordan Valley Innovation Center in Springfield. And I think they recently celebrated a 10-year anniversary, I believe. So I think it's been a lifelong commitment of Senator Blunt to higher education and to alternative energy. I know that during the 20-plus years I've had the privilege of being on the Board of Trustees at Crowder, Senator Blunt has always been a great friend of Crowder College. Senator Blunt, on behalf of the Board of Trustees at Crowder College, I simply say thank you, and it is our honor to rename this fantastic facility the Roy Blunt Center for Missouri Alternative and Renewable Energy Technology. Thank you. Speaking of things that would not exist but for the efforts of a single person, in this case the thing being Crowder College, and the person being Senator Blunt's good friend, Mr. James B. Tatum. Mr. Tatum asked Dr. Methven and I to speak on his behalf today. Mr. Tatum dearly wanted to be here this morning, Senator, but it's impossible for him to be here for health reasons. His note to you, Senator, is, quote, "Please extend to Senator Blunt my gratitude and very personal appreciation for his great support of Crowder College. He has always been a friend of Crowder College." Thank you, Senator. It is my final privilege today to introduce our next speaker, another fantastic friend of Crowder College, the Merit Center, along with it being a huge supporter of almost every project in Southwest Missouri which promotes education, Mr. Rudolph Farber. Thank you.
Roy Blunt began his political career in 1973, and for those of you who are mathematically inclined, that's about 44 years ago. He was appointed as the clerk of Greene County in 1973, and then he ran for that position the next year and was elected and served 12 years in that particular capacity. He then went on to serve as Secretary of State, and I should indicate to you that he was the first Republican to hold that office in 50 years. He was elected to the House of Representatives, where he served 7 terms, 14 years, and he was in leadership as a whip and in contention for the Speaker of the House. In 2010, he was elected to the Senate and reelected in 2016. He serves on Appropriations, Commerce, Rules, and Intelligence. But Roy wasn't always a politician, and he didn't start out that way. He's an educator. He has a BA in history from Southwest Baptist University and an MA from Missouri State. And he started out with earning a real living. Sorry, Senator.
The worst thing for you.
Where he taught history at Marshfield High School. He then, some years later, became president of Southwest Baptist University, and I can tell you that if you want to talk history with the senator, you better know what you're talking about, because he really does know his stuff. But in addition to his political and educational career, he was always around in this neck of the woods to lend a helping hand. Those of you who remember the fight over the fish hatchery, I can tell you that he was instrumental in making sure that it did not close, and that was a really good thing, because if you've been out there lately, you know they're doing really good work. I was pleased to work with him on the Newtonia Battlefield Association, where he tried, and we're still working on, making sure that gets with the Parks Department. With the Rocketdyne cleanup, we ran into some problems, and the Defense Department didn't want to let us do a couple of things that we needed to do. Well, Roy lit a fire under those people, and all of a sudden, the clouds parted, and we got what we needed. He was also instrumental in the establishment of the Foreign Trade Zone. We were having trouble with the U.S. Customs, and they just said, no, we're just not going to abide this Foreign Trade Zone, forget it. There was a call that went out, and I think there were a couple of his representatives who got together with the U.S. Customs people, and all of a sudden they were on the road to Damascus. And that got handled. I'd be remiss if I didn't finish by saying it's been a real pleasure working with Roy. And one of the biggest pleasures that I had was some years ago when we were on the podium and we dedicated I-49. The senator did a marvelous job of making sure that that happened. And the economic fallout from I-49 continues today and will continue in the future. And Roy, that was a tremendous job, and I certainly want to thank you. It is my pleasure to have worked with you over the years. I call you a friend, but more important, you're a great public service.
Well, after all those great comments, I should probably not say anything, but I'm sure I won't be able to resist. I will say the minute I got out of the car here today, somebody asked me if I was going to get them their tax cut. So no matter all the things that have been listed are now in the, that was then, this is now. And I said yes, and I hope it's this year. And I was glad the president came to Southwest Missouri to make his first speech on why that mattered. And, you know, he had 4 points in that speech, but really they all boil down to 2 points. How do people get better jobs, and how do people get more take-home pay? And there are 2 important ways to get more take-home pay. One is for less taxes to come out of your check, and 2 is for you to have a better check for whatever taxes that come out to come out of. We've been about 10 years of stagnant wages now for working families, and our number 1 priority in this tax effort need to be to do whatever we need to do to turn that around, where people that work hard for a living have more of their own money to spend, And there'll be some people who say, well, we need more federal money to spend. And my view would be, well, the way to get more federal money is to have more jobs that pay better and have more people paying taxes at a rate that they can afford on more of those jobs. And if we'll stick with that and get that done this year, it will make a real difference. And so just so you know that I understand the work is not done yet just because of things that have been mentioned today, I do. But I'm pleased to be here. Rudy, thanks for your comments. Dr. Methvin, thanks for your comments and your leadership here. Dr. Marble, I don't know how many times we've been on this campus together, but it's a lot. And even though Kent Farnsworth couldn't be here, I will say that just generally in appreciating community colleges, nobody more important to me in that effort over 30 years than Kent Farnsworth. He was here and then back to be the interim and then pleased to not be the interim anymore as Dr. Methvin took over. And Andy, to you and the board, thanks for 20 years on the board, and thanks to you and the board for what you're willing to do. Even with Dr. Marble here, I'm going to say that I often say and fully believe that community colleges are easily the best buy in higher education. And when you have 4 and 4-year presidents and graduate school presidents like we have with Dr. Marble at Missouri Southern, who understand that and want to make the right kind of agreements where students can seamlessly go from one school to the other, where you see the community college as an ally, not a competitor, makes an incredible difference and makes an incredible difference to families. On the Pell Grant front, Pell Grants are, first of all, grants. They're not loans. They don't have to be paid back. They're grants. You don't get them unless it's been calculated that you and your family really need them. And there's no community college in Missouri, including this one, where if you qualify for the full Pell Grant, you don't get tuition, books, fees with a little money left over. So for those people last year that were talking about how we ought to have 2 free years of higher education, we actually already have that for those families who it's determined need the government to step in and see that they have 2 free years of higher education. And if you really want to make college expensive, make it free and turn it over to the federal government. Nothing would add to the cost of higher education quicker or more dramatically than that would. And on President Methvin's point about Pell Grants, I like a lot of people who are the first person in their family to graduate from college. I went to college in 3 years. Nobody was helping me get that done. I needed to get it done as quickly as possible, and I needed to get it done without interrupting whatever plan I had that was working at the time. And that's the real key of returning now after 8 years, going back to year-round Pell. So what is year-round Pell? If you haven't had experience with it, it means if you're somebody who's paying your way through college, if you're an adult that's returned to college and you've got whatever pattern you've got working, you've got a place to live that maybe not be where you want to live forever, but you can afford it for right now. You've got a part-time job that works with school. You've got a Pell Grant paying for the school part of what you're doing. And if you can just not disrupt that, the odds of graduating are dramatically higher than if you do. When you think, we're just transitioning, I guess next year will be the first summer where most schools really plan for and anticipate that we're back to year-round Pell. But when we didn't have that for 8 years, it's easy to think, well, I'm going to get a full-time job this summer, and of course I'll be back in school in the fall. And sometimes that happens, and lots of times it doesn't happen. The most dramatic thing you can do to enhance graduation likelihood is keep people in school until they graduate. And particularly when your colleges, like really both the schools represented here today, and Dr. Marble and Crowder, when you do lots of training, businesses don't understand why training would end in June and start again in September. That makes no sense at all to them. And so that's, I think, a big step in the right direction. I'd also mention that the TRIO program, I chair the committee now that appropriates money for the Department of Education and Health and Human Services and Labor. But the TRIO program, which is so important here, and the Upward Bound program, I think just yesterday you got an announcement that all three of your programs extended and increased a little bit, and I think we decided this morning that was about $800,000 of money to your annual budget in those three programs. And there's another program that make it possible for people to go to school that wouldn't otherwise. I know Steve McIntosh is here, so for the 20 years in the House and then the first Senate term, both of us spent lots of time, and Steve more than me, on this campus thinking about what we could do for Crowder, and occasionally being able to be successful in that. So here we are, the 5th anniversary of the MARET building, the 40th anniversary coming up, you said, of energy work here. I think the 25th anniversary this year of the General Assembly deciding that Crowder would be Missouri's Renewable Energy Education Center. So 25 years of that, and lots of reality to that. You know, this is a critically important program, not only for our economy, but also for our national security. All of the above energy, as we've had these unanticipated opportunities in natural gas and other energy, it's a little bit tempting right now to turn around and say, well, we've now got all the energy we need for the foreseeable couple of decades. We could forget about an all of the above strategy. That would be a huge mistake to forget about an all of the above strategy. Renewables of all kinds, things like solar that have been so important here. I really remember Art and his team on the Smithsonian Mall with the solar car when I went down to visit the solar car. And I think that year, Art, it was Crowder competing against Yale and the University of California and all kinds of places, until all of those schools decided, well, surely we can't have this 2-year community college competing against our schools. And so they changed the rules a little bit, and so now you have to have a partner with, I believe, at least an architecture school, and you have that, but you were competing pretty well without a partner. So well that nobody wanted to say that they had competed unsuccessfully against Crowder Community College at Neosho, Missouri, and so the rules had to be changed. But the competition continues. Good things continue to happen here. Hands-on research, things happening. I know it's Marshall Collins with a solar to battery to electricity project he's been working on, and Michael Malawi with the solar household water heater that he's been working on. All of those things lead to what may be greater opportunities for those students and others in the future. Rudy mentioned the fish hatchery, a solar thermal heating unit developed here on this campus so that the fish hatchery would work a little better doing what they need to do. Solar bikes. I'm still okay on a regular bike, but I'm more and more thinking I may need a solar bike one of these days soon. The bike competition, the wind turbine, the whole concept of, by the way, if this would fit anywhere in the world, it would be in the Ozarks where we live. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. We were doing that for several generations before anybody knew that it was a plan. You know, we just didn't know that there was any alternative. My mother's view always was, you'll never need this until you throw it away, which of course meant we weren't allowed to throw anything away, and before you knew it, we needed most of it again. But great opportunities here, a great school to be part of, a great campus to be part of, a great concept to be part of. And frankly, there have been a significant number of names mentioned here today who would be better to name this building after than me. But I appreciate it, I enjoy it, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator Blunt. It is such an honor to have you here today. We're going to conclude our ceremony in this way. I have a brief presentation for the senator, and then we're going to cut the ribbon. So let me explain a little logistics. Our Merit Center staff and students and our stage party are going to go to the top of the wall. If you all will gather at the bottom of the wall, we will have the ribbon cutting over there. When that is concluded, please go into the Merit Center. We'll have folks available with tours for you to explain different parts of the building and refreshments as well. Okay. So at this time, I have to tell you, I'm so pleased that you were all here. You know, among you are several county and city elected officials, representatives from various area boards, community leaders, area K-12 leaders, Crowder patrons, alumni, employees, and even some of our colleagues from across the state. Thank you for being here today. And Senator, you see the dedicatory plaque. It is my honor at this time to present you with your copy of the dedicatory plaque, and then we will proceed to the ribbon cutting. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome you to the Roy Blunt Center for Missouri Alternative and Renewable Energy Technology.